everyone! A bit of a different video to usual. I've wanted to do a Q&A for some time now. I just didn't think it would generate much interest, but we've got a lot of questions here, so I'm going to do my best to answer them. I'm sorry if I don't pick your questions, or if you've sent me like a long list of questions and I missed some out. I apologise. I'm trying to keep this a relatively short video. I might also save some of these questions for another video in future if this goes well, so you never know. Just before we get started though, for those who don't know, I've started a new Instagram profile for the channel. There's not much going on there now, but over the coming weeks I'm planning to do more with it. The address is instagram.com/idon'thaveanose. If you'd like to give me a follow on that, I'll be very grateful. If you're a subscriber and you are not following me on any form of social media, I would recommend that you do, simply because not only does it help me and the channel, but if something ever happened to the channel, it's a way I can still connect with you. So you never know what's gonna happen. So anyway, on with the show. What made you want to start a YouTube channel? That's interesting actually, because I didn't at first. I never actually saw myself doing anything like this. It started out as a blog, an animation blog, and I had that blog for a good few years, and I only discontinued it late last year, in fact. Well, for the last few posts I did were just promoting the YouTube channel anyway, but it started out as like an animation history blog. I did like opinion pieces and fact files on certain figures in animation, that kind of thing, reviews of Disney films. I did one post a while ago on my blog which was like I think it was like a top 10 movie games list that I did. From then I just decided, you know, I could actually do something with this, because I realized on YouTube that there aren't actually many channels that specialize in just covering license-based games. I know I'm branching out a little bit more. Like I've done at least one game that's not based on a franchise, and I'm planning to do some more too. But as you know, the vast majority of my videos so far have been license-based games. There's so much to unpack with them though. I think a lot of the time they're unfairly maligned. I mean, there are reasons why people, you know, why there's a stigma attached to them, basically. I mean, when the likes of Shrek Treasure Hunt exists, you know, that's more than enough reason to shun them, really. But yeah, no, the reason I started this channel was really, it was an extension of the blog, and it's kind of become its own thing. It's really strange. I just thought there was a market for doing licensed games, so here I am. What kind of music am I into? I'm actually a big fan of Alanis Morissette. I know everyone talks about Jagged Little Pill, and I know why. I completely get why. It's like it's full of like big hits, every single song. But I actually think she's a very consistent artist, and these days I actually tend to listen to her later material rather than Jagged Little Pill. I also like Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20. She'll never say what you should already know by now. I like Tori Amos, although I've not listened to her for a while actually. I like some songs by Keith Urban. I like some Goo Goo Dolls. I like some Churches. I like Haim. Haim are good. I also like some of the early stuff by the 1975. I guess you could say I just like a cross between alternative rock and pop rock, and I guess indie rock, indie pop, that kind of genre. I like lyrics that have some kind of weight to it, some kind of relatability, as well as a catchy melody as well. That also really helps, obviously. What's my favourite game of all time? My favourite game ever, I would say, as of this moment, Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. We won! I remember a few years ago I did a video on my top 5 games, and that wasn't number 1 at the time, I don't think, but I think it's a magnificent game. I've played it so much. I played it too much though. This is my problem. I tend to overplay games and I spoil them for myself, really. The first Ni no Kuni, which I know is technically not the first because it was a DS game first, but the Wrath of the White Witch game is one of the best games I've ever played, and I think it's actually very well done. It's not without its problems. You know, there are some pacing issues. I've got some issues with the story towards the end, but overall I think it's a wonderful game. I think the characters in the story are fantastic. The gameplay is great. Everyone complains about the combat. I actually find the combat really interesting. A lot more interesting than the second game. Ni no Kuni 2 is still pretty good. but it was not a patch on the first one. Like, the first game I felt was something special. The second game is a lot more shallow. Like, I'm not as invested in the characters as I was in the first one. I still completed it. It was still fun, but it wasn't quite of the same caliber. I would actually really like to do a review on Ni no Kuni, but it would take me forever. Like, the game is so long and detailed, I don't know where I'd begin, but maybe one day, you know, never say never. What are my dreams for the channel? Actually, I don't know. I do intend to do more games that are branching away from licensed games. I still want to do licensed games, but at some point I'm gonna have like dug out and reviewed the best of those games, you know, like the more iconic. The well's gonna run dry, basically. I do want to do more movie reviews though, actually. I'm gonna have to be, you know, doing these film reviews very infrequently for the time being, I think, and gradually ease them into the schedule, I think. But I do want to do more movie reviews and retrospectives, that kind of thing. Movie analyses. Mark David asks, how did I decide to call my channel I Don't Have a Nose? A lot of people ask this, and I don't tell the story very often, and the reason is because it is actually the most boring story. Like, it's nowhere near as exciting as you're probably expecting. It's nowhere near as interesting. Basically, when I first came up with my blog, way back in, I think it was 2014, I just needed a name for the blog, and I needed something eye-catching, so I drew this really crudely drawn stick character I called Felix, and I can't remember why I called him Felix. That's another question that gets asked, like, why is he called Felix? And I genuinely can't tell you, I can't remember. He looked a bit different back then, but he was supposed to be like a very crude caricature of me. It looks nothing like me. I know it looks nothing like me, but that was the point at the time. And I didn't know what to call the channel, so I just decided, you know, this guy Felix, he looks like me, except he doesn't have a nose. And I suddenly thought, I'll just call the blog that. I don't have a nose. And that was literally it. And then the blog lasted a few years. And then eventually I kind of branched out and did the YouTube channel as well and gave it the same name. And that's literally why it's called I Don't Have a Nose. There is no other reason. I told you it was boring, I'm sorry. French Fries has asked me a lot of questions. I'm just gonna pick out some that I haven't answered yet. The reason I pick out mostly PS2 games and PS1 games is because I love to cover them because it's my kind of era, and I grew up with PlayStations. But they, you know, I think a lot of people tune into my videos for nostalgia purposes, and it works. I enjoy talking about it, people enjoy, you know, listening to me talking about it, so why not? What were your main influences for being a YouTuber? That is an interesting question, actually. It's very hard to say what my main influences are. People always point out Kadikarus, and I get comments saying, oh, you know, you're you know, a lot like Kadikarus, you're clearly inspired by him. And I find it very interesting because I have never really made any connection with him with my videos. I understand similarities, I get that. But it's never been intentional. I mean, I've been, you know, I was making like a home video stuff just for, you know, not for anyone to see, just me and a home video camera. When I was little, I used to do that all the time, and it's just kind of something that's evolved into this. So, yeah. I tend to watch a lot of stuff that's very different to my material, though. I used to watch a lot of like game review stuff, but these days I don't tend to. I watch a lot of creepy real life stuff, actually. I watch Let Me Know, I like Lazy Masquerade, and Blame It on Jorge as well. All very different to my stuff. For some reason I have an interest in lost media, and I don't actually know why. It just comes up as recommended all the time to me now, so I just watch stuff like that. I do like Saberspark though. The reason being, he tends to review a lot of absolutely terrible media, like a lot of really bad movies, animated movies a lot of the time. The thing is, I have got, you can probably tell from my channel, that I actually have a fondness for bad media, bad movies, bad games. I would, like I say, I'd say that the vast majority of games on his channel are not actually that bad, but I do like things that are so bad they're entertaining. What's your favorite Pixar movie and movie tie-in game? My favorite Pixar movie, I would say WALL-E. Well, it actually depends on my mood, because pretty much everything of the first 10 Pixar movies I think is great. Even A Bug's Life. People don't talk about A Bug's Life. I really don't get it. I've always seen A Bug's Life as, you know, in the same league as Toy Story, personally. I've never really understood. There's not really a hatred or dislike of A Bug's Life. It's more like an indifference towards it. But I think it's great. I think it's a great movie. But yeah, no, I like all of them except Cars, which I don't think is a bad movie. I don't think Cars is awful. I just think it's very hard for me to get invested in it because they're cars and the world doesn't make any sense at all, and I just don't find it as interesting. But not awful by any means. I think it's a decent film. I just don't think it's of the same standard as the other films surrounding it. In terms of my favourite Pixar tie-in game, I've got a soft spot for A Bug's Life, but that's because it was actually my first game that I ever owned, that I ever played.
Ah, look at me!
I also like the Incredibles game, and WALL-E was great actually. I was quite surprised at how good WALL-E was. But yeah, I'd say A Bug's Life. Just, I might be biased, but I do like A Bug's Life. What are my thoughts on the Kingdom Hearts games?
Whoa. Sorry guys. I initially answered this question, but while in the process of editing this, I decided to keep this under wraps for a potential future video. I actually have quite a bit to say about it, so all I'm gonna say to this is wait and see.
Why do you have to do that?
What's my favourite joke I use in my videos? Favourite recurring joke? It's probably the Nazira laugh. I don't even know why that became a running gag, but it was kind of funny for like the first few times, and then suddenly it just became like a running meme on his channel. But yeah, no, I'd say Nazira laugh, and close second would be the Fat Controller laugh, which I've not used for a long time. I used to use it pretty frequently, and I had someone message me, who messages me a fair bit actually, they're a regular viewer of the channel. They actually commented the one day that I'd overdone the Fat Controller laugh, and my response to that was to then proceed to include the Fat Controller laugh in several videos in succession. I decided, oh, I'm using it too much, am I? Well, how about now? So yeah, no, Nazira laugh. Nazira laugh is most definitely my favourite running gag. Have you thought about doing any more collaborations, and who's your dream creator to work with? I actually haven't thought too much about doing collaborations. There is a collaboration that is supposed to be happening. It was supposed to happen earlier this year, but plans fell through. Otherwise, I've only done collaborations with 2 other YouTubers. I've done 2 collaborations with Frozen Cavern and 1 more with Headphones UK. And they're all great to work with actually. Both of them were great to work with. But I don't really know. I've had other suggestions for other YouTubers to collaborate with. And I've seen some other channels, I've seen these recommendations and actually watched their stuff, and I have to say there are occasions when I've seen them and thought, yeah, we cover similar content but have a very different style. So I've often thought that it might be a bit jarring to have a side-by-side, it probably wouldn't work. But I don't know, I'm open to doing more collaborations. I haven't really gone out of my way to find anyone to work with just yet. I would need to do more collaborations though. I do enjoy doing them. They can be hard work sometimes, but they are worth it. They are worth doing. If you ever play more PS3 games, would you please play them in 4:3 480p? No. I would not do that. I get what you're saying because you want consistency with the PS1 game, but I like to try and present the games pretty much as they were intended. So if it was a widescreen game, I'll present it in widescreen. If it's in like 4:3 aspect ratio, these days I make like a decorated border for it. So sometimes I have problems with them though. Hurdy-Gurdy was a problem actually, the Hurdy-Gurdy review, because for some reason the way that game is presented, the aspect ratio is not correct, weirdly enough. It's like squashed on my TV. So I actually had to readjust the aspect ratio. I also had a problem with Tarzan Freeride. This is actually a really interesting case. Well, I think so. It's probably really boring, so I'm really sorry I'm going off on one now. The border actually was changed on the very last day of editing. If you've seen deleted scenes, you'll already know what the original border looked like, but the finished border, as it is in the video, is actually taken from the box art for the game. Originally, I used a screenshot of some bamboo from the movie. There are a couple reasons I changed it. For one thing, the border looked quite murky. The murkiness of the border kind of clashed with the murkiness of some of the game's graphics, so I wanted something a little more vibrant. Another reason I changed it as well was because in some of the recordings, for some reason, there was like a very faint black line down the left-hand side next to the margin, and I don't know why that was. I don't know why the screen had repositioned between recordings, but yeah, it was a bit of a problem. So I figured if I'm gonna have to solve that issue, I may as well change the border completely. So there you go. There's a really boring border story. Because I review platformers, Crash or Spyro. That's actually a tough one. I actually do like both Crash and Spyro, but I'm gonna have to go with Crash. I actually really love Insane Trilogy. And also, I'm addicted to Crash Bandicoot 4 currently. I have been for a while. It's a very tough game. I completed it nowhere near 100%, so I think I've got 60-something% so far. Bit of a slog, but we're getting there. I don't know why I like platforms so much. I don't know why I like platforming games, because I'm really not very good at them. I'm not the worst, but I'm definitely nowhere near the best. I'm kind of slow to react sometimes. It's just, I annoy myself. I get pissed off with myself. People actually ask why I don't stream, and one reason is because I've got terrible Wi-Fi. Another reason is because my capture card has a tendency to screen tear every now and again. And the third reason is I'm terrible. Old underrated games in your opinion. PS1 era, I would actually say Nightmare Creatures. Nightmare Creatures is actually a fun game. It's kind of frustrating though. Some of the mechanics it rips directly from Tomb Raider. Yeah, and the whole energy level thing, like there's this energy meter that like drops down very quickly. Like just being alive is somehow detrimental to your health. Also, if we're talking old games from just a couple years ago, one game I would say is massively underrated is The Last Guardian, from the makers of Shadow of the Colossus. I think it's a great game. It's frustrating. There's some irritating mechanics throughout, like the AI doesn't quite know what you want it to do a lot of the time, and it can get very frustrating. The boy, when he clings to Trico, it's quite annoying because I understand why they didn't have a button to hold down to cling on to Trico, since you're literally using Trico all the way through the game. When you want to jump off Trico, he will automatically grab hold of him and keep grabbing hold of him. And it's like he seems to stick to Trico. But overall, I think the game was extremely ambitious, and I'm really surprised that it didn't get more acclaim, really. You know, I mean, I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's only a small one, but it's something I wanted to do. I currently am recording a game to review. It is not a movie game for once. Any guesses as to what it is? Should I stream? I'm thinking of starting streaming if my Wi-Fi, you know, holds out, but I'm not sure it'll be very entertaining. Sometimes I can be shouting at the screen, and sometimes I can be just like completely silent. So I don't know, but maybe one day. But yes, so thank you for watching again, everyone. It's been fun, and I'll see you very soon, hopefully. If you haven't watched it yet, head over to the Frozen Caverns channel for our collaboration video on SpongeBob SquarePants, Creature from the Krusty Krab. And otherwise, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching once again. Sorry I have a tendency to ramble a little bit. Hope some of the answers didn't come across too boring. Also, sorry if I didn't cover all of your questions. Apologies in particular to RoXas4878 and The-Pad. I did intend to answer more of your questions, but the video would have been far longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm thinking about saving some of them for next time. Anyway, as I said, another review is underway, so I'll see you then. Hope you enjoyed, guys. Bye for now.